And welcome to the 29th session of the ADB Circular Economy Working Group webinar series of 2024. So these webinars aim to showcase technology solutions, new approaches, emerging issues, and case studies inside the circular economy. So I am super excited for this particular session because refilling and reusing are solutions under alternative delivery modes. And they all promote a circular economy. And going back to the circular economy principles, reuse and refill solutions design out waste and pollution and keep materials and products in use. I've personally tried refilling services and they're becoming more and more popular. Today, we are going to learn from Alner's reuse and refill solutions, which offer a scalable and practical and sustainable alternative to single-use plastics and single-use packaging. In this session, we will explore strategies and practical steps that Alner has taken to implement reuse systems, and they have already prevented millions of pieces of plastic from entering our waterways and our environment. They'll also talk about their plans to scale these solutions across the region. This session will also include insights from Alner's partnerships with fast-moving consumer good brands, micro retailers, and community stakeholders. I'm personally interested on how refilling can maintain product integrity and how they can promote behavior change among consumers and businesses. So without further ado, I will introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Bintang Ekananda. He is an environmental engineer and circular economy advocate. As the co-founder and CEO of Alner, he leads efforts to eliminate waste. He holds a master's degree in energy and environment from the University of Leeds in the UK. Additionally, he serves as an assistant professor in environmental engineering department at the University of Muhammadiyah Sorong in Papua. With 8 years of experience in environmental engineering and circular business models, Bintang has been recognized as a Forbes Under 30 Impact Honoree for 2022, and he was featured on the Eco Business Youth A-List 2022 as one of Southeast Asia's most impactful sustainability leaders. Bintang, over to you.
Hi, hi Anna. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction, Anna. That's quite it's quite honored to be here again. I guess maybe this is not my first time to speak within this webinar, but it's always excited to be back here and share more about like our progress in developing Alner. I will also share my screen to help me to present for today's topic. Maybe it will take around 20 to 25 minutes, and hopefully after that, yeah, I'm happy also to answer if you have any questions or discussions topics. Yeah, I'll start my presentation. So basically, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Alner, but I will try as if this is you're all new to Alner. So we'll start from a basic what Alner basically does. So Alner means alternative container, a reuse platform that tries to deliver daily needs from home care, personal care to food products without packaging waste in returnable and reusable packaging. Just briefly about why we are doing Alner in the first place is because I think we all probably know that the plastic pollution is quite alarming, especially in Indonesia. And mostly are generated, this plastic waste is coming from packaging waste. In fact, more than 95% our daily needs are sold in single-use plastic packaging. And the current solutions for this problem is mainly on downstream solutions like recycling or alternative materials like biodegradable packaging, for example. But I think we need another alternative to keep up with this alarming problem. So that's why we're building Alner, where we try to prevent those plastic packaging at the source. As mentioned, we are a platform where we provide various products. Currently, we have more than 100 SKUs from some brands, both local and global, where we deliver those products in returnable, trackable, reusable containers, where we will clean those containers and then eventually reuse them multiple times, and then eventually it will get recycled. More on how it works. Basically, customers now can purchase their daily needs via Alner in two approaches. First is through home delivery service. Customers can buy products through, for example, our website or mobile app, and then the products will be delivered to their home. Currently, Alner is operating in Greater Jakarta. And then once it's finished, customers ideally repurchase products as well as returning the empty containers to our delivery staff during the next purchase. And for this new habit of returning container, they are rewarded with a discount or cashback for the next purchase. Alternatively, customers are also allowed to go to our micro retailer partners. Micro retailer partners are consisting of existing retailers in Indonesia, such as warungs or mom and pop stores. We also have waste bank communities where they originally collected recyclables materials from the neighborhood. Now they become our resellers. So now customers can also go to one of those our retail partners, buy products as usual there, and then they are also acting as our return hub. I think this is one to be our sales points, but also as our return hubs. Later, I will explain, I will try to summarize what kind of key drivers on how we can scale these reuse solutions. Going back to how it works. So after the containers are returned, we are cleaning and sanitizing them in-house. So we have a potentially patented cleaning machine where it's a small machine, a single machine, but is able to clean various type of packaging. And this is also, by the way, supported by the HLT fund from ADB on how we developed this machine 1.5 years ago. Just maybe for you who are not familiar with the concepts, actually the solutions that we are trying to bring is not new. There are key concepts of reuse. I think particularly what's been promoted by Ellen MacArthur Foundation. There are 4 reuse models. As you can see on the screen, Alner is falling within this category, return from home or return on the go. That means the consumers need to return the container from home, meaning to our delivery staff, or on the go while they're visiting our sales points or return hubs. These are the case studies. I think Anna was mentioning you're curious as well on how we work with brand partners. These are examples from our brand partners, Wipro as well as Nestle. So with Wipro, for example, they are now relaunching their shampoo as well as body wash in our standardized and universal container. As you can see on the screen, it's different products. It's still within the same category of personal care, but you can see that the design of the container is similar, but they can still be distinctive from their labels. I think, again, later I will mention that standardizing packaging is quite important on how we can scale reuse and reusable packaging solutions moving forward. Number two, the partner that we have is Nestle. With Nestle, it's a bit different. We decided to design a new container from scratch for their purposes, but we also heard from Nestle that I think this is also one of good examples of global brands that this kind of containers are allowed to be used, for example, by other brands who are interested. But the concept is the same. The filling process of the products are done still by the manufacturers. I think this is also to answer Anna's earlier questions on product integrity, because the filling process is still done by the manufacturers. I think this is treated like the conventional products, basically, like the quality of the filling, the good manufacturing practices are still the same. We just need to agree with the brands on what kind of cleaning standards of the packaging that we need to achieve, because these are not regulated, so that we have to agree with the brand partners. And in most cases, we will treat this reusable packaging as if it's a new container from the market. So it means we need to have like a very, very good packaging cleaning quality at the end. Briefly on our go-to-market, as mentioned, we are selling through online channels. These are some of the channels. We are available in mobile app, WhatsApp shop, and website. Maybe interesting to see that we are still available in WhatsApp, because I'm not sure in other region in Southeast Asia, but in Indonesia, I would say most our business are done via WhatsApp still. So we are still receiving a lot of questions on how the system works. So we are still happy to serve our customers through our WhatsApp, even though it's already like a bit automated using a help of a chatbot as well. And these are our local heroes. So we partner with micro retailers such as warungs, waste banks, and peer-to-peer or individual agents. So you can see that these existing retailers are now providing products in reusable packaging while still competing with the single-use versions. But I think it's encouraging to see that they are taking up to be sort of like pioneers in promoting these products even before the modern retailers. And in Indonesia, we have millions of these warung stores. So I think if we can leverage just like 10% of them, we can save so much money to build return infrastructure, because we can leverage these existing sales points. We're also planning to scale to modern trade still, like supermarket and mini market. So earlier this year, we piloted our solutions in one supermarket and mini market with Nestle, and the result is very encouraging. Now we're also fundraising to be able to scale our solution to more modern retailers in the next year, because we saw that the convenience of returning container must be accommodated. So at the end of the day, these products in reusable packaging needs to be available in as many type of sales channels as possible, including the the modern retailers such as supermarket and mini market. We now work with 1,000 sales points of micro retailers in Greater Jakarta. All of those places are accessible to our website. So again, we're trying to provide as complete information as possible to our customers so that they are not confused on where, for example, on where they can return our container. Because the deposit, the container system is universal. So for example, if you buy our products in store A, you can still return at any stores that are partnering with us, because our retail partners is already understand that even though they're not selling that product to that particular customer, but they can still return the empty container to Alner and they will still get the discount as well. So it's like chain deposit return scheme system in European countries. So that's also making the system is quite convenient for our customers, because they can return the empty containers anywhere. This is the washing system that I mentioned before. I think one of the key elements to be able to scale reusable packaging system is a shared infrastructure. One of these infrastructures is the washing system. So imagine if we can pool 100,000 or million containers in a same cleaning facility, we can share the cost across brands or across FMCG companies, and eventually this will make the cost of the reusable packaging system, especially for the washing and collection costs, are able to compete with the single-use container price. So that's why Alner is really promoting that this washing facility is able to be used for any brands that is working with us, so that we can eventually share the cost of the cleaning. And during the HLT fund period from ADB, we were also building a wastewater treatment system to treat the wastewater from the cleaning process. I think this is also quite critical, because one of the challenges of reuse system is the whole carbon footprint, sometimes like the wastewater itself. So we try to treat this water so that it can be reused as well. So at the end, we can lower the emission footprint. This is also an example on how we do the test of the quality of the packaging, cleaning packaging. We work with a certified laboratory called TUV North in Indonesia, and we regularly check samples of clean containers every month. Just briefly to summarize on how we are doing so far, I think it's been an exciting year for Alner. We now serve more than 3,500 customers in Greater Jakarta. This is, of course, one of the challenges to increase the return rate. But I think because this is a very new system as well in a country like Indonesia, I think it's fair to say that we will need a couple of years to boost this return rate, let's say to 90%. And again, this is also depending on a couple of things, like the convenience of returning the packaging itself. The more return hubs that we have, we believe that it will also boost the return rate. The more products that are available in the market in reusable packaging system, and the more universal the packaging, we believe that it will also boost the return rate, because people will instantly know that this container is actually returnable, not disposable. We also have been very gratefully supported by other funders. Again, like from ADB, from Transform, and from MasterCard. I think those are also very important funding to de-risk these new solutions so that we are able to survive and eventually compete with the single-use packaging system. We also now partner with around 10 FMCG partners. I think the more interesting insights that we get this year is also that the local brands are actually very keen to move to reusable packaging system as well, like smaller and local brands. In fact, they are much faster to launch their products in reusable packaging system compared to the global company, like the global FMCG companies. But I think this is also probably normal because the size difference also influencing the pace of the launching of their products in our system. These are some of our impacts that we measure, like the single-use plastics avoided. As mentioned, it's almost 1 million now. We have been reusing around 120,000 container in our circulation. I think theoretically our packaging design could be used up to 50 times, but it takes time for packaging to be reused. Normally it's taking around a month. So now the oldest container that we have now is around like 12 times, but I think it's also still quite encouraging for us. We're also, as mentioned, trying to treat the wastewater, trying to deliver the last mile delivery as well as mid-mile delivery using electric vehicles, so we can also save some CO2 equivalent emissions. And more importantly, we are also tracking on how much additional income that the micro retailers obtain from selling the products in our returnable container system. This is the plan that we're currently have. So the plan is that next year we are going to replicate what has been working in Jakarta to 1 to 3 major cities in Indonesia. We're thinking about cities like Bandung, Bali, as well as Surabaya. We are going to decentralize the cleaning facility in those cities, especially when it's in different island. For example, like Bali is in different island with Jakarta. So we will try to decentralize the cleaning facility. And then we are going to expand to more mini as well as supermarkets. As mentioned, this is quite critical for people to be able to be more convenient in returning the empty containers. And I think by end of 2026 or early 2027, I think we'll be more confident to replicate this solution in other region in similar cities like Jakarta or Indonesia in general. This is going to be my last 2 slides. I think we try to summarize the lessons learned on how similar startup like Alner can try to scale these reusable packaging solutions. I think first is very important to promote this shared infrastructure, especially when we speak to FMCG companies, because I think one of the key questions would be like the cost at the end. So when we have this shared infrastructure, like cleaning, collection, sorting, even transportation, for example, it will eventually reduce the cost because we can share with other brands. Standardizing packaging, this is probably not going to happen in a short-term period of time, because brands are still thinking on how they can maintain their uniqueness through their packaging. But we do also see some examples, as mentioned, that brands are embracing solutions. In fact, we have seen this in many other cases, like the soda cans. I think those are one of great examples on how a container is standardized, but they can still be distinctive with others. We have seen an example here. If you can see on my slide, that this is the brand called Max Clean and Safi from Wipro in a single use, and it's transformed into a reusable packaging system of Alner. And then eventually, higher return rates is the most critical part. So we need to think about incentives that is sustainable, as well as a seamless return process to support the scalability of the reusable packaging system. For example, in Alner, as mentioned, when people are returning the container, they are getting a cashback, which is actually a deposit of the container. So it's like embedded into the business model itself. And lastly, collaborations among all stakeholders are quite important. This means like the brand partners, retailers, as well as the infrastructure owner, like the cleaning facilities and transportations, also quite key to scale the system. Last slide. I think the calls to action for each stakeholder, there are around like 4 stakeholders, the businesses. I think, again, adopting shared infrastructure is quite important to eventually reduce the cost. Incentivize high return rates could be done also. The brand owners also playing a quite critical role. If they're actively promoting their products in the reusable packaging, I think that is also increasing the trust from the customers, so that the customers eventually are interested to switch. So the brands are mandatory to actively promoting this through medias or through their social media channels to increase trust. Policymakers, I think, is quite clear there. The enabling regulations like EPR and tax or subsidies for startup that is focusing on reuse business, I think is also quite important. The global plastic treaty that is happening now is also probably will create a level playing field, hopefully. Guidelines for packaging standardizations or safety guidelines also quite important. And I think the government or NGOs, for example, like PR3, that is currently working on this domain, is also quite useful. Number 3, financial institutions. Again, to mention some of our grant funders, I think those are quite useful as well for a startup like Alner that is working on reuse system. Maybe we still see some conventional investors are still hesitant to put their money in this sector, but maybe it is also influenced by the current economic situation. But we are encouraging the long-term investment perspective, that how we can redirect long-term investments from single-use packaging or from recycling to this prevention solutions like reusable or refillable packaging system. Lastly, the citizens, customers, civil society, I would say we have seen a very profound role from customers, that they have power to demand their favorite brands to also provide their products in more sustainable way, for example, through this reusable packaging system. And when the customers are already switching to reusable packaging system, again, it goes back to the first point that high return rate is quite important. So how we can encourage customers, raise awareness on the importance of returning the container is very important to make the whole system is successful. I think that's my presentation. I hope that's not too long, but happy to discuss or answer if you have any questions. Over to you, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bintang. That was a great presentation. And there's actually a lot of questions already from the chat. It's a great case study. And Alner is working on refilling for home care, personal products, and food and beverage. So you have different categories, and this makes for great case studies in different product categories. And one thing that you mentioned also, which was striking, was that there's a 70% return rate, which is pretty high already, considering that this is a newish business model for these kinds of products. Or it was more popular in the past, then it disappeared, then now we're getting back to it. So let's get into the questions. From Huiling Leong, what is the price point looking between the reusable container and the virgin container? And then another related question is, what is the break-even point in terms of number of usage for the reusable containers? So for example, it costs this much. Do you need to reuse it 5 times, 10 times before you reach the cost of the container?
Yeah. So we use this sorry. Oh, it's
You have
not
to
easy.
like
Yeah, it's
like a blogger, you have to
okay, yeah.
get there.
Yeah, so this is an example as well. We still use plastics. So this is PET, but it's designed to be thicker. So the cost is indeed higher versus a similar size of this container, but yeah, you already mentioned like what exact numbers for this case. It just needs to be reused 4 to 5 times before it yeah, it breaks even. The price point, as mentioned, because this is also using 5% of recycled plastic materials, so it's more expensive. But again, with the combination of high return rate, efficient cleaning process, and we have seen that, as mentioned, we have reused some of our packaging for 12 times. So it's already reaching the break-even point.
Great. So you mentioned the term PET, which is polyethylene. I can't pronounce the T part, but it's polyethylene. And if for those who are listening and watching, if you look at certain plastic products and you see a triangle sign with number 1, that is PET, and it's highly recyclable. So even if it is plastic, it's something that is highly recyclable and reusable, and it's the common plastic that you would see for beverage containers.
Yeah.
One of the questions is what is the material you use to produce containers? It's not the same as the one we use. So is it just PET, or I know in other reuse models or refill models, they use steel, which is probably more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. You already mentioned that. Like we try to pick scalable packaging materials, so we still use plastics. Maybe for some products like milk or juice like, yeah, especially milk, we use glass bottles here with our partners. But for like personal care, home care products, we still use plastics because it's a win-win solution in our opinion, especially for market in developing countries. Like using aluminum steels for detergents would be maybe too expensive. So that's why we still use plastic, and it's reusable. It's proven. The cleaning quality has been approved by our brand partners as well.
So what was the process like in designing the packaging and getting buy-in from the brands?
Yeah. So just maybe to explain a bit on how a brand can partnering with Alner is that they don't have to use our container, just to be clear, but we do have our packaging portfolio. So let's say in my presentation in Wipro's case, they chose our packaging portfolio. The reason is because first, quality wise, it is meeting their requirements. Design wise, it is also approved by their marketing team. And number three, they don't have existing container that we can agree if it's reusable. That means it's durable, it's easy to clean. And with Nestle, it's different story. We decided to design from scratch, so it's like co-design process. Alner even helps them to do some market research on how it would look like the reusable container for their products. But this is not the normal case. Like the normal case would be they use our container, or we use the existing container that we think it's reusable. So we more focus on the system, not like the design of the container as well as the materials. I mean, we choose the fastest way so that they are willing to move to our reusable packaging system. That's the low hanging fruit for now.
So in just to follow up on that, in your partnerships, is it usually Alner approaching the brands, or brands also approach Alner to say, we're interested to pilot this?
Yeah,
What do we, yeah.
I think 4 years ago, mostly we are approaching brands like with the big brands like Nestle, Unilever. I think, yeah, we are approaching them, but nowadays we have seen more and more brands are also approaching us, especially the local brands, as mentioned. So maybe that also means that the market is also quite exciting, both from the supply side as well as from the demand side.
Great. Yeah, you know that you're getting traction when they start approaching you.
Yeah.
So there are more questions here. Let's go to one on e-commerce platforms, and then there are other questions on logistics, and how long you can use PET bottles. So let's start with the logistics. So now you mentioned in your presentation that it's in Jakarta and you plan to expand in other big cities and other destinations like Bali. So how is the logistics system centralized? Washing right now is centralized in one place, and you plan to expand. So
Yeah.
is it going to be contained in those big, like big cities? And I think this is especially interesting because Indonesia is the largest archipelago in the world. So if this works here, then it can work definitely in other places with larger island groups.
Yeah. So we're thinking for, like, for example, Bali is in different island. We're planning to build a small cleaning facility there. So the idea is that we will pull the empty containers there until a certain volume or certain quantities, and then we will give it back to the manufacturers for refill. But this is again volume. So if you ask like the unit economics, uh that will be really related to the volume, right? But we have seen especially in Jakarta as well, like the same customer 4 years ago where they only purchased 3 bottles per order, now it's growing to 15 bottles per basket.
Right.
So it's already like reducing your cost per delivery, right? So again, this is about volume, and to increase volume, you need this partnerships with local retailers or local brands as well, or even like local logistic companies. So yeah, the plan is to build decentralized cleaning facility if it's in different island, and then pooling it there on until a certain quantity, and then deliver it back to the manufacturer. This is the plan. Maybe during the pilot process, we are also trying to discuss, right, with brand partners if the filling process would be also, let's say, outsourced to our facility. That is also possible, but it's not in our interest. So the filling process is ideally to be done by the manufacturer themselves.
Great. Yeah. So let's move on to this question on e-commerce from Rocky Guzman. Curious if you have current partnerships with e-commerce platforms, especially on the logistics side, or if you have any plans to work with e-commerce. And this is such a great question because e-commerce really exploded during the pandemic, and it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. And there's a lot of interest on how to deal with e-commerce waste and e-commerce packaging.
Yes, I think we actually have opened our online stores in local e-commerce as well, just to see to increase awareness. But the downside is that it only provides like forward logistics. So normally we still accept those new customers coming from local e-commerce like Tokopedia or regional e-commerce like Shopee that is available in Indonesia. But on the second purchase, they normally will switch to our own sales platform like a mobile app or our website, so that we can deliver using our internal logistics or our logistics partners, so that the empty containers are able to be picked up during the deliveries. So that's one. If you're asking about like implementing the packaging system into the e-commerce packaging waste, like the secondary packaging, we haven't looked at that yet because it's completely a different industry. But we do have one emerging player in Jakarta called Repacks. I think if you're interested, you can also check them out. I think it's quite interesting that they are trying to solve the same problem, but in e-commerce secondary packaging.
Yeah. So for now, you're focusing on like your own
Daily,
e-commerce
yeah,
platform and like daily products.
Yeah.
So there's also a question here on incentives. So from Jitendra Singh, I'm curious to know what is the incentive for a brand to move from their patented design and opt for this concept. This is a great question of identical containers which might be used by others too.
Yeah. I think they haven't really shared, but this is our assumptions, right? I think they probably think that this is still also in a small scale. Like we both think that what is the fastest way so that they can relaunch some of their products in this reusable packaging system. And one of the easiest ways to switch to containers that is clearly reusable, like what Alner already have. So that's one. And number two, I think using the same container, as mentioned, it is reducing a lot of the cost elements, like the sorting process. It's easier. I guess the brands that is the brand that understands this already know that this could reduce the cost itself, especially if we do this in a large scale. But as mentioned, we also see some brands that is still, wanting to use their own containers, or even like designing new container from scratch, like Nestle. So that's why I don't see that this universal packaging will happen soon unless it's strictly regulated. I don't know, like, so that's why it's easier for us to switch to any container that we can agree first. So we can still tolerate the cleaning process. I mean, it's not that hard if we have a multiple type of containers. So that's what we do now, and yeah, still try to encourage the new coming brands to use the same container so that we can reduce cost and logistics complexity together.
Jitendra, I noticed you turned on your camera. Do you want to respond or say something?
Yeah, just a follow-up thing. So thank you very much for this answer. Actually, I was curious and I agree with you. Uh, the brands are hesitant in following this. One of the reason could be that over a long time, they have learned that it gives them edge to have a totally different design to keep them unique in the market. And now to understand the sustainability point of view and also cost and savings and of course environment support, so that will take a time. I have another small follow-up question. I was really interested to know a little bit more about the wastewater treatment you talked about coming out of these washing machines and all. So if you could just maybe in this forum very very briefly you could tell more about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, tell us more about the
I
wastewater.
I hope I can
Yes. Okay, I will just read some more questions until he unfreezes, until Bintang unfreezes. There is a comment here from Zulfikar. Maybe I can add to Bintang's answer as one of the brand partners of Alner. We don't mind to use Alner's standard packaging to increase campaign on reuse. It also supports expanding our market size and market share. So then we know that. Thank you for that added information. This is really good to know coming from the brand side or the partner side. There are also some questions here on government extended producer responsibility regulation or EPR. Could EPR be also helpful to push the brand owners to help increasing the return of packaging containers? Okay, Bentang, welcome back.
Sorry, the electricity was down. I don't.
It's okay. It's just challenges in tech. So yeah, the last question was on the wastewater.
Yeah. Okay. With the biological as well as chemical treatment. Basically, we use bacteria. So basically, we just pass this wastewater into filtration system, and then it goes into a big chamber where it has a microbial, and then this bacteria is eating up the wastewater, and it's basically consisting of like surfactants, because we use cleaning agents to clean the bottles, right? So it's just like wastewater coming from your dishes process. Actually, it's like gray water type of category of wastewater. So it's not that according to our consultant, it's not that difficult type of very difficult type of wastewater. So we just pass them in a filtration process and then pass them in a big chamber where it has a bacteria that eats up the wastewater. I hope that it's called MBBR system. If you are interested, I can also share the link, but it's a quite common wastewater treatment process.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. Super useful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another question here on EPR or extended producer responsibility from Ibu Helena. Could the government EPR regulation also be helpful to push the brand owners to help increasing the return of packaging containers?
Yes, I think that's definitely in our opinion, because one of the reasons on why brands are working with us is also the existing regulation from the Ministry of Environment of Indonesian government, that it obligates the brands as well as retailers to have a plan until 2029 on how they can reduce their or recycling their packaging waste. So that's creating a momentum for the brands, especially the big brands, to actively looking for solutions like our solutions or recycling solutions, alternative materials, and so on. So now it's actually already we can feel the influence of this existing regulation. And on how to increase the return rate, it could be more specific, like for example, again, like subsidies or tax incentives for startups like Alner, or like, you know, yeah, subsidies for the incentives. I think that that would be interesting idea to be piloted. Like the electric motorcycles in Indonesia get a lot of subsidies, or with the solar panel, for example. Maybe we can also follow this kind of trajectory for companies or retailers or brands that are focusing on waste reduction.
Yeah, laws can definitely help incentivize and encourage businesses and different stakeholders to participate. There's another question on the use of PET. Do you have a study on how many times you can reuse PET as a material?
Yeah. So what makes this our PET different is, first, it's designed thicker. So I think durability is the most important aspect to treat a container as a reusable container. So we have done a ASTM test. Basically, it's dropping a container from 2 meters height with liquid inside. So in our case, it breaks after 50 times we drop that. Yeah, so that's on how we can do a test on the durability of a container as well. It might be different with other materials or other thickness. So the lab result shows 50, but we haven't seen yet, because the oldest packaging that we have is 12 times. Maybe it needs 4 years before.
Yeah.
And
So
then after that, yeah,
yeah.
after that you will have other criterias like scratch, or it's like visual. If you see that a container has just been used 3 times, but it's already like, we never know like what consumers do to our packaging. So if
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, decent anymore, we are also recycling them. But mostly it's quite nice. Even people are cleaning themselves, so they return the container to us already like quite clean. So, but they don't have to, but apparently they do that for us.
Yeah. That's great. So up to 50 times if you break it. We have
Yeah.
time for maybe one question left. There's a question on consumer behavior, which is such an important piece of this reusing and refilling conversation. I'm curious, and the question also is, what has Alner done to promote refilling in terms of the consumer, changing consumer behavior? And another question is, have you done a study on their motivation to use refilling? Because, so for example, in the Philippines, this has been piloted, and the insight was the biggest motivation was the loyalty of the consumer to the store owner in terms of micro refilling. So what do you know anything about market insights among your consumers, and what kind of behavior change campaigns have you or your partners also have done to promote this?
Yeah, I think in terms of the educations and marketing efforts, local champions, micro or like even smaller influencers are quite important to educate the consumer. So that's why if you see, I think it's quite clear in our social medias like Instagram or TikTok, we work extensively with micro influencers who are actually also our customers. So sometimes we don't even pay them. They have their consciousness to switch to sustainable products, and then they promote us. I think this is also the reason on why they use the products. We segmented the customers into two segments. Like the online customers are dominantly doing this because they're trying to do something good. And then the second layer is that the nice to have, that they can save some money from returning the containers. But from the micro retailers customers, it's the other way around. So in which type of sales channels you might have different strategies. So if you're doing campaign online, you might prioritize the emotional aspects, like the ways the turtles that are
saving the
up with-
turtles.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in warungs, in mom and pop stores, maybe you can promote the savings opportunity in a year. So we try to educate, like if you switch just 10 of your products to these refillable models, you can save 1 million rupiah, which you can use to buy, I don't know, snacks for your kids or something like that. So make it very contextual with your target market is, I think, is very important to create a sustainable behavior change.
Yes, definitely. So different key messages for different target audiences, and recognize who your key opinion leaders are, both online and offline.
Offline, yes.
So thank you so much, Bintang. This has been
so much.
inspiring. I learned so much, and I'm sure all the participants also learned a lot from you and are inspired by the work that Alner is doing. There's already a request for the presentation to be sent, and yes, it will be sent to the participants, and I believe it will also be uploaded to our circular economy data room, our virtual knowledge bank. So thank you to everyone for participating. Let's give a virtual round of applause to our
Thank you so much.
and the work that he's doing. And we'll see you in our next session. And also, please make sure you spend time answering the virtual post-event evaluation form that will pop up on your screen once you exit this webinar. This has been Ana Oposa, your moderator. And thank you also to the Circular Economy Working Group for organizing this webinar series. Thank you and have a
Thank
good
you
rest.
so much, Anna, and everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.